Welcome to Learning Through Math, the podcast. I'm Laura at I Teach the Y.
I'm Karina at Mrs. Cousins 5. Our mission is to inspire ourselves and others to keep learning and improving with passion.
And hugs! You can find us at learningthroughmath.com and on Twitter at Laura and Karina.
Come and join us on this journey of learning.
Thanks for joining us. We are recording this in October of 2020.
And welcome to episode 21, Number Sense or No Sense.
I can't believe it's episode 21 already.
Yeah, it feels like we just started this podcast yesterday.
For real. We want to give a shout out to Devin, who reached out to us through our Facebook page, and we've been having a great conversation back and forth, but she did say that she's enjoying our podcast and thanked us for putting in the time and energy into our work.
And she also said, which I loved, that she listens to us while she's cleaning her house.
Devin, you are welcome to come over to my house anytime.
Hey, mine next. Seriously. And Devin, we'll give you the live show even.
For sure. We want to reflect on last week's episode where we talked about grades.
Yes, in my conversations with other teachers, the one thing that they keep going back to when it comes to grades is that it's a motivation for students. Having grades is motivating for them. They put in more effort when they get
an A.
Right. Or if they have a B and they're trying to work towards an A.
I wonder where they get that from, though. Are they getting it from a teacher and parents too?
Right. I would think so. And I would think it's from the parents.
Think about years ago when we would do public, I don't know if you want to call it star charts or public shaming because of reverse, you know, and everyone wanted to be the best. But I'm hoping that many of us have a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset.
Right.
And it actually happened today. I was in a first grade class and one of the kids said something and it was incorrect. And I happened to have on my shirt that says mistakes are proof that you are learning. And I stopped them and I said, whoa, wait. Everybody look at my shirt. I'm going to read my shirt out loud. And I read it out loud. And I said to them, I'm actually so happy when a kid makes a mistake because now you have a chance to learn something and your brain can grow.
Right.
Now, how does this relate back to the A, B, C, D, F?
I don't really know because I have really only taught third and fifth with a standards-based report card.
Okay, so no grades.
I haven't done grades. And when I did do grades, I was in second grade. And I came, you already know this story, but I'll admit it, full disclosure.
Confession time.
The first year, so it was my first year of teaching in the United States. I came from Canada, and in Canada, an 80 and above is an A.
Right. Which I didn't know until you told me this.
Right. So my students who got 80 and above received A's.
Well, good for them. Good for them.
And it wasn't until the full year after that I've been doing this, we shared the kids because I was teaching French and she was teaching English.
Oh, okay.
And we were talking about grades and we were grading the kids and we were, doing the report cards together. And she's looking at the tests and she's, like the 80s, 85, and this kid's she's giving them a B. And I'm like, wait, what? And then like a 60 a 55 was an F, and I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, that's what do you mean what? Like, she was completely confused as to what I was saying, and then I was like embarrassed, and then it finally dawned on me that we were just using different scales.
Well, and I shared with you last week that when I was growing up, 94 to 100 was an A.
Yeah.
And now it's all marshmallowy, 90 to 100's an A, right?
Yeah.
But I love your even bigger marshmallow. You got the jumbo size marshmallow.
Yeah. And now I wonder if it's like that still in Canada, or I should reach out to a friend and see if they still grade that way. But most of my friends now are elementary teachers.
And are they on
they're
standards-based?
Yeah, they're standards-based. They went standards-based even before we did.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But like we said last week, I mean, grades are meaningless anyways. I could make it so your kid gets an A. I can make it so your kid gets a C, D, F, whatever.
I think the biggest danger with the grades is really just, again, puts the emphasis on being correct.
Yes.
And not
learning.
Right.
Yes.
It's not about them going through their own journey of
and
learning and growing.
Yes.
It's about them just performing and getting it right. And I have a student, and interestingly enough, she said this week, I don't like what we were doing.
Okay.
And she's like, when are we doing the textbook? She couldn't wait to work in the textbook.
Because she knows how to play the textbook game. She knows how to play the school game of traditional game.
Yes. And what I was having them do was critically think and explain.
Yep.
And she was like, I don't like this. So I asked her, why don't you like it? And she said, because I'm confused. And I said, well, it's okay to be confused.
Right.
It's good to be confused. You need to be confused. You shouldn't get things right away.
Right. If you do, then why am I here?
Right. And I'm like, that's my job, to make you think. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, I don't like it. And I said, well, get used to it. Because it's going to happen.
You've got, 160 more days with her?
Right. But I love her because she can go back and forth with me. Mm-hmm. And she kind of just like smiles and laughs it off. Yeah, like, here we go. But I do want to refer back to, there was something in Limitless Mind, just like last week.
That really spoke to you?
Yes, that just really stood out. In Limitless Mind, on page 61, Joe Bowler says, how do we encourage this productive learning for more people? What was different about Ellie, what made her stand out from other students, was not her great understanding. She was not the student always getting answers correct, but her dogged determination even in the face of failure. When I talk with teachers, they often say this sort of persistence is missing in the students they teach. One of the most common complaints I hear from teachers is that students don't want to struggle.
Just like your little girl.
Yep. They want to be told what to do.
Yep.
This is the problem, right? She's been told what to do. She hasn't had to think for herself. To the teachers, it seems as though students just can't be bothered with struggling, which is probably what it looks like. The truth is, however, that when students don't want to struggle, it is because they have a fixed mindset. At some point in their lives, they have been given the idea that they cannot be successful, and that struggle is an indication that they are not doing well.
See? Ding. Mic drop. We're done. Right?
Yeah.
That was a great reflection. Honestly, people, if you have not heard of Joe Bowler, please go Google her, look her up, look at YouCubed. We'll put all those links in our show notes.
Yeah. Amazing.
Amazing.
Tell us your good news.
My good news. We are actually recording this on a Thursday night, which is not typical for us.
No.
But my book comes tomorrow. It's UPS better come through on that tracking number right there, okay? The Building Thinking Classrooms book comes tomorrow at my door. And I'm going to binge read it this weekend. However, I went to the author's book launch party. It was virtual.
Yes.
A few nights ago. And in the chat, I said, please, please, please pronounce your name slowly. Because I know I've been butchering this poor man's name for 2.5 years now since I discovered him.
And to be fair, it's not an easy name to say.
I think it's Swedish. It's Peter Liljadahl. Now that's the slow version. Liljadahl. There, I said it right.
There we go.
Yay! And he gave me a little shout out. He's like, I feel like I have to respond to Laura's question or comment to pronounce my name slowly, because he never did throughout the entire hour book launch. So I'm glad he did that. Thank you, Peter. Let's get into today's topic.
I have been teaching 5th grade. This is year number 5. I'm starting the 5th year of 5th grade. And I have come to the realization, and it took me a while, and I don't know why I've struggled so much to see this when it's so obvious.
So evident.
But I've come to the realization that it's all about number sense.
Okay, literally, we can
It's
stop.
like-
we can hit stop on here, and we're done. Yes. Yes.
I have no other words. It is all about number sense. And without number sense,
nothing makes sense.
Right. Nothing.
It's number sense or no sense.
Yes.
During the past few weeks, I have been taking kids individually and assessing them using my math recovery tools. And I have discovered trends in gaps of knowledge. And it all comes back to lacking number sense. Mm-hmm. If it was a problem for, and some of them were third graders, it was a problem that said 15 minus 12. Now, what would you think in your head, 15 minus 12? First thing that comes to your mind, what would you do to figure that out?
Count up.
Count up from,
Right.
because you know that 12 and 15
Are very close.
relatively close on a
Right.
number line. Nope. We're trying to count all the way back. Or here's a trend that I found. They would focus on the 5 and the 2 and somehow ignore the 1 in the tens place and ended up saying 13. That happened several times.
Really?
Several times. And I was like, what's going on here? So I can't wait to dive in with small groups of kids with that type of stuff and say where.
Why would they say 13?
I don't know. It seemed like they ignored the tens place, but then just threw it back on the end. I don't know.
I mean, that kind of reminds me of when you asked, 15 minus 12, reminded me of the question, when they're regrouping and they
If it's
regroup
15
yes.
minus 7,
Yes.
and then they'll take
the one from the tens, bring it over to the ones, and you still have 15.
Right.
It's
But
still
that's
15.
how I'm going to tell you, that's what I would have done had
Yeah, I probably
10
would have
years
done it
ago,
too.
I
Yeah.
still would have done that.
Yeah.
Even though I knew
Right.
it was, but we were so trained in the
Right.
standard algorithm.
Right. Well, and now even when I'm starting to become more fluent with that strategy. When I do partial quotients, if I see 23 minus 18, I don't have to,
Me
right? I
neither.
don't have to regroup. I see 23 minus 18.
And I've
when
tried over the years to show kids that.
Yeah, and they
now,
don't. They're like, wait, what did you do?
right. Why didn't you cross off the 2 and make it a 1 and
I'm like,
put,
guys,
it says 23
Right.
minus 18.
right. It's just,
Yes.
you don't have to, you can just count up.
Again, but if they don't have that
Number
sense of where numbers are related to each other, then they're going to fall back on a procedure. Then hopefully, please God, they do it right. Because remember, we talked about a few weeks ago subtracting across zeros.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Right.
If you don't have number sense, all of that means nothing. And then they end up getting it wrong.
Yeah. And it just comes down to memory, right? And that's why summer slide, they go away for the summer, they come back and they don't remember anything. Because it was just in their short-term memory. It wasn't put into their long-term. It wasn't a concrete thing that they know and understand. That's why I don't understand study guides, because to me,
You mean for math?
yeah. Well, and anything in elementary, I didn't have a study guide in elementary school. I mean, that's something that I didn't learn until high school.
Right.
How to really take notes and study from them. And, we didn't have study guides. Like, why are we giving elementary kids study guides? That, to me, I don't understand.
Well, here's one of my favorites. When people take the assessment, the real assessment.
I know where you're going with this.
And they pluck out the numbers and they put in other numbers and call it a review.
Yes.
What?
What is the purpose?
Why even bother giving the assessment?
Right. Right.
Isn't the assessment to know what they know and they don't know, not to give a grade?
Yeah.
Right?
It goes back to that.
Exactly. And if they don't know it after you've given the assessment, that's when you reteach.
Right.
In a different way, not
Not the
louder
same,
and
right.
slower.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Or that's where you get a kid who does understand it and pair them up with a student who doesn't understand it yet and put them together.
And let the kid do the teaching. Because let's go back to that hierarchy of who remembers what after 24 hours.
Yeah.
You know why we as teachers remember everything? Because we get to teach it to someone else.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember something like 90 to 95% of whatever you teach to someone else, which is why it would be great to have a kid go help another kid after that other kid understands it.
Right. Well, and a lot of times I'll be like, okay, who can paraphrase what I've just said? Because I look out and I see
deer in headlights.
Yeah, blank stares. So, all right, I'm obviously using language that is maybe a little more sophisticated or, language that maybe you and I would use when we discuss math. And I need to bring it back down to a kid level.
And then bring them back up.
Right.
Using that precise vocabulary.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I think one of the reasons I had this aha moment this week of it really is just all about number sense, and it's the stronger their number sense, the better they're going to be as mathematicians. Was because we were doing number talks, and
yay,
yeah, and we're multiplying decimals and using the area model. And, right, so like two things that I love, both of them. Gosh, we're in our number talk. The expression is 6 times 1,600.
Okay.
And we're chatting, we're talking, they all have the same strategy. They can't see beyond,
don't say plus 0, like adding zeros.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
We're still
adding zeros, okay. And I added zeros, and I just wrote plus 0, just like I hear Laura again, math whispering into my ear, plus 0. And now they're seeing that I'm doing it, and they're like, no, I mean, shift the digits over. I'm like, oh, okay, let's shift those digits then. But there's...
Do you mean multiply by 10?
And then I said,
multiply by
what
10?
does that mathematically mean? Oy, but they're not yet getting creative with their strategies. When you've been doing number talks so much that they now start like thinking about other ways.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. It's going in a totally
different
tangent.
direction.
Doesn't even. It's like when you first teach kids how to put periods at the end of their sentences, and they put them at the end of every line. Right. You get these weird number talks that have no direction and they're going nowhere. They're not there yet. They're still...
That happened to me this week.
Did it?
In a second grade class.
They're still just doing like what they know, and they haven't ventured out yet.
So we have no flexibility with numbers.
None. So of course I'm showing them... I say, a student last year did it this way, where instead of thinking about it as where 16 is just 16, they thought of it as it's 2 times 8 times 1,600. And then, or it was 160, I don't even remember now. But then you could take the 2, because commutative property of multiplication says I can multiply whichever one I want first, right? Doesn't matter.
Right.
So I'm going to take the 2 and I'm going to multiply by 1,600 or 160. I don't even remember now.
Right.
And then I'm left with the 8, and I can multiply the 8. But they were looking at me like I
had 2 heads.
Was a magician.
Okay,
wait. Not even like, what are you doing, Mrs. Cousins? What is this? And the doubling and halving.
I was just going to ask about that.
No
We
clue.
have
no clue.
Wow.
No clue.
Okay. Well, now you know where to keep going in that direction.
Right. But that's where I was like, it just all comes down to number sense. It really is. It's the be all end all. It's all of it. Our challenge for you this week, listeners, is to tell us, what do you think about number sense or no sense?
Thanks for joining us.
We'd love for you to subscribe to our podcast and give us a 5-star review on your favorite podcasting platform. We invite you to join the conversation on Twitter by using the hashtag #LearningThroughMath.
We'd love to hear your feedback. Make sure to tag us at Laura and Karina. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
To you too.